Scopper Gaban showed up at the last possible second, saved Luffy, and blocked an attack from Imu that could have ended him right there. So today we are breaking down the real question. Does Gaban actually have any chance in this fight, or did he just step onto the battlefield to go out looking like a legend? First, we need to figure out how strong Scopper actually is. Oda loves creating parallels between different generations, and inside Roger's crew, Gaban seems to have filled a role similar to Sanji's in the Straw Hats, the third major fighter behind the captain and Rayleigh. Although Gaban clearly did not agree with that ranking, because the moment someone called him Roger's third strongest man, he immediately started arguing that he was actually number 2. And while that moment was played for laughs, it still suggests the gap between Gaban and Rayleigh may not have been nearly as large as people assume. This fits perfectly with the Zoro and Sanji parallel. Oda constantly frames them as rivals and keeps them close to the same level, even though I still believe Zoro is stronger, so it makes sense to place Prime Gaban somewhere near Prime Rayleigh, probably a little below him, but definitely not several tiers lower. And when we look at Gaban's actual feats, the anime shows him trading blows with Odin on roughly even terms, which is a pretty insane showing when you remember how powerful Odin was, although we should be fair here, that full exchange was expanded by the anime, so it cannot be treated as undeniable evidence from the manga. We also saw a younger Gaban fighting alongside Shanks against the demonic Herald, and while Scopper was clearly playing more of a support role in that battle, it still proves he is not just some random old man hiding in the mountains. This is someone who spent decades standing among the strongest pirates in the entire world. Even in the present day, Gaban was able to give both Luffy and Zoro a serious fight, before eventually backing down for the sake of the plot, because apparently this lazy old man just did not feel like destroying a Yonko and his right-hand man at the very beginning of Elbaf. But jokes aside, this short clash never showed us Gaban's full power. What it did prove is that even at his current age, he is still an absolute monster. So in the power scaling system I am working on, I would place old Gaban somewhere around Admiral Plus level, with Prime Scopper ranking even higher. And this is where the real problem begins. Because right now, Imu looks completely overpowered. They are literally toying with Loki, who I currently consider one of the 3 strongest characters in the entire series. And I do not even need to explain what Imu just did to Luffy. So let us be completely honest. In a straight one-on-one fight, Gaban is not beating Imu. I am not even convinced that Prime Rayleigh could win this matchup. At best, he might be able to hold Imu back for a few minutes, and that may be exactly what Scopper needs to do here. But there is one major detail that could make Gaban genuinely dangerous: his knowledge. Scopper has already shown that he understands how the Holy Knight's abilities work, and that their regeneration is not completely unbeatable. He also connected the ability to fight them with Advanced Conqueror's Haki. So Gaban's real threat to Imu may not be raw power, but the fact that he understands better than almost anyone how creatures like this can actually be damaged. He may know something from Roger's era, possibly a weakness in Imu's abilities, or at the very least, he could force Imu to reveal more of their true power. And that information could end up being far more important than the actual outcome of this fight. Here is how I think the battle will play out. Scopper is not stepping in because he expects to defeat Imu. His real goal will be to buy time, block attacks, stay alive, and possibly even deal some real damage thanks to his Haki and his understanding of Imu's abilities. That should give Loki enough time to get back on his feet and return to the fight, and Luffy may eventually join them as well. But even with all 3 of them together, I do not think they will defeat Imu for good. Their true objective will be forcing Imu to leave Elbaf. As we already discussed, Imu cannot remain on Elbaf forever, so after a long enough battle, they will most likely be forced to retreat. Scopper will once again take on the support role, buying Loki the time he needs and helping him drive Imu away from the island. But even then, this will not be a complete victory. I think the heroes will manage to protect Elbaf itself, but they will fail to rescue every single child. Some of them could end up in the hands of the world government, allowing Imu's threat of turning the giants into slaves to partially become reality. Instead of ending the arc with a clean victory, Oda could give us a brutal compromise. Imu leaves the island, but not before dealing serious damage to Elbaf and gaining leverage over the entire giant race. Other possible outcomes. There is also a theory that Usopp could defeat Imu using Ragnir, but as a direct victory, I think that is complete nonsense. At most, Usopp could land one crucial shot, rescue the children, or help the others at the perfect moment, but he is nowhere near ready to defeat Imu himself. Shanks returning is another possibility, But that would feel like a strange decision, because he would basically steal the climax from Loki, Scopper, and the Giants. An even less likely option is the miraculous return of Eustace Kid. I believe he may have survived and could still appear during this arc, but he is far too weak to challenge Imu. His abilities could make him useful against the Holy Knights or as support for Loki, but against Imu, support is the absolute most he could offer. There is also a chance that Gaban sacrifices himself here. It is definitely possible, but honestly, it feels a little too obvious. I think it would make more sense for him to survive, pass important information about Imu, the Holy Knights, and Roger's era to Luffy, and only then finally step away from major battles. My verdict is simple. Scopper Gaban has no chance of defeating Imu in a straight one-on-one fight, but he could still be the reason Imu fails to win on Elbaf. Gaban will buy time, reveal part of Imu's weakness, help Loki return to the fight, and together they may force Imu to leave the island. Even then, the mission will probably end in only a partial victory. Some of the children could still fall into the hands of the world government, and after this, Elbaf may finally enter an open war against them.